You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. A lot of Rebelpreneurs are work-at-home parents, and they have to figure out ways to get work done and still be able to take care of their young children. That's not an issue for me because I have adult children who are gone and out of the house, but it was an issue for me when I was a young parent and trying to juggle my business around my family and vice versa. So here today to help people who are in this situation is expert Sarah Argenal. She is a speaker, a writer, a facilitator who is on a mission to eradicate the burnout epidemic that is crushing working parents so they can finally start to enjoy these precious years of their life. As founder of the Argenal Institute, host of the popular Working Parent Resource podcast, and creator of the Whole Self lifestyle, she combines 20 years of experience in areas such as psychotherapy, coaching, and complex project management to help working parents reclaim their time, energy, and identity in an overwhelming and demanding world. Sarah, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Hi, Ralph. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for being a guest. You're going to help us to learn how to defeat burnout. And this is specifically for parents who are working parents. And I'm assuming that, it could be working a job, which is fine. It could be trying to work their business. And a lot of entrepreneurs are working from home as a coach, as a writer, or whatever the case may be. So that can be a challenge. Tell us a little bit about what got you interested in this and what's your background.
Yeah, this is something that I have been pursuing for about 6 years now. My background is in psychotherapy. I have my master's in marriage and family therapy and adult development. And after I got that degree, I actually got certified as a professional coach as well. I'm a certified court mediator. I've been a teacher at the college level. I've done all sorts of things to help people with their personal development. And I did a lot of that stuff before I became a mom myself. Before I became a mom, I kind of had this textbook understanding of how to juggle life and work. And a big part of my identity was my work. I was very ambitious. I worked in the corporate sector. I was a project manager for AM Law 50 companies, most law firms that are, kind of global and multinational. So there was a lot going on. I was very busy all the time. And that was a huge part of who I was. And then I became a mom about 6 years ago now, and I realized that I knew nothing about how to do this. I didn't know how to juggle my life, my work, my identity, my friendships, my family, my marriage, my time for myself. All of these things just started spiraling out of control. And about 2 months into being a working mom myself, I had a complete meltdown. And I talked to my husband and said, this life that we've created that we were very conscious about, we made these thoughtful choices about what we wanted. This isn't working for me. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And that just started a conversation around how to juggle work and life. And in the beginning, I looked for resources. This is a few years ago. One of the big resources at the time was Sheryl Sandberg. And she's like, no, just work harder, keep going up that ladder. And that was not the advice that I wanted. That wasn't what was helpful to me. And so much of the other advice was, well, then you just kind of have to quit. If you're not willing to get to the top of that ladder as a professional, you may as well quit and stay home with your kids. And I just didn't like that juxtaposition. I didn't like that those were my two options.
Yeah,
and so I started down this journey. Yeah, no, I'm like, no, we can do this. This is how it's going to be. There are a lot of working moms out there, a lot of working dads who have the same issues. We've got to find a solution for this. So I started looking for solutions, and I came up with my own. And over the years now, over the 20 years that I've been doing personal development in general, I just know that it's a very unique process. And I think a lot of the advice out there right now is it really one size fits all. It's all very symptom oriented rather than underlying cause oriented, by which I mean we're really trying to solve an immediate symptom of anxiety or frustration or stress. And we're not really looking at the underlying causes of burnout. And so that's what the Argenal Institute is really about. That's our mission. And I think that we can eradicate this burnout epidemic. And it has become an epidemic. And I don't think that we need to live this way. I think we can enjoy our lives as working parents. And so that's my goal.
I agree with you. And I'm so happy that you did not just accept what so-called experts say, that, you have to make a choice. Either work more hours, work longer and harder, and put your family second or third or fourth or fifth on the list, or give up and just be a stay-at-home mom. You refuse to accept the status quo. And so with your entrepreneurial approach, you created a solution that actually helps working parents defeat burnout by looking at them, I am assuming, in a holistic manner that creates a balance between their personal and their professional goals. Tell us a little bit more about that program and that philosophy. What is it all about, and who is it mainly there to benefit?
Yeah, in doing all of this work, and especially focusing on this population of people, and I tend to work with both corporate professionals and entrepreneurs, because I think a lot of the habits that we take from corporate sometimes into entrepreneurship continue on, of that stress and overwork.
Not good habit.
And
burnout. Bad habits also, right? Not just good.
Yeah, and it gets almost exacerbated because we don't have a team to rely on. It kind of is all us, and there's this pressure. So I see a lot of that struggle coming up for people in all of the sectors. And if you're juggling a family as well, what I've noticed is that we have a lot of external pressures on us. We have our work responsibilities. We have a household to manage. We have a marriage or, parent-child relationships. We have friendships. We have extended family responsibilities. We have all of this stuff going on in our lives, and it tends to be coming at us externally, meaning we have all these responsibilities that we have to tend to. And I think that we easily, in this day and age, with kind of our 24/7 culture, our hustle and grind culture, we tend to get preoccupied with all of those things. And operating simultaneously in each of our lives is this whole internal system that we've got as well, which is our values and our goals and desires, our fears, our triggers, our needs, all of this stuff that makes us who we are. And that's operating, but we're not paying any attention to it. We're not making choices from that strong center anymore. We're kind of just, looking on social media for inspiration for what our lives should look like and going, oh, okay, that's what I should be doing as a working mom or as a working dad. That's how I should be running my business. That's how I should be raising my child. This is how I should be handling this particular stage of development for my child. There's all of this stuff coming at us from the outside. And I think that we've kind of turned down the volume on who we are inside. And I think that we need to reverse that. I think that we need to be really clear about what's going on internally as well as externally, and manage our external worlds by what's going on internally. And a big part of that is self-awareness. A big part of that is looking at, what is everything that's happening, both in my household and in my work and with my marriage and with my kids, what's going on with all of that stuff externally, but even more importantly, what's going on within myself. How am I feeling right now? What's depleting my energy? What gives me energy? Where is my inspiration coming from? Am I just trying to compete with other people, or is this something I truly want? All of those questions are really important and really powerful when we're aware of them. But I fear that a lot of working parents are just, they're in survival mode. They're just trying to get through their day, and they just kind of react to whatever comes at them. And that's what I'm trying to help people do. I'm kind of trying to help them get a lay of the land, both in what's going on in their external world, but also what's going on in their internal world, and then start making some informed choices based on that information.
Yeah, that's so excellent. And, the answers are going to be different for different people. The things that motivate you are not the same things that motivate me. The things that inspire us are different. The goals that we are achieving are different. Our values are different. So there's a lot that we have to really, as you say, turn up the volume on ourselves, get really in touch with who we are and what we are all about. And then it's crafting that unique solution. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer that's going to be universal for everybody. And it's probably one of the criticisms of gurus is they tend to oversimplify and give people simple answers to difficult questions, and the advice just doesn't work out for everybody the same way because all of us are very unique and very different. So as you work with clients and as you through your institute, you have influence and impact on people who come to you for help. We've identified stress as kind of the general problem that people are struggling with. But what would you say, digging deeper beneath stress, what is the biggest obstacle that you see when you're trying to get people from where they are to where they want to be? Is there a common problem that seems to be pervasive among different people regardless of where they come from?
It's really different for everyone. And that's why I think it's so hard, because there's this tendency to want to say, this is the problem, this is the answer. But every single client I talk to, it's not just one problem. It's usually a myriad of things. There's usually a lot of different things that are going on in their particular life at this particular moment in their life. You know, it evolves and it changes even for each individual and within each family system, within each company. All of this stuff is so unique. And I think there's a lot of nuance there that gets glossed over when you write a book or write an article about, here's the stress and here's how to manage it. Or here, if you're running out of time, which is the biggest obstacle that people come to me about, is I don't have enough time. There is so much more going on than just you don't have the time or you don't have this energy to do what you're trying to do. There's just way more to it. And it can be stuff that doesn't seem connected. Like, I'm not working, compatibly with my partner right now. So I'm taking on all of this household stuff and that's depleting my energy. So I don't have it for my company. It can look really unrelated, but it really is connected. So that's what I am able to do for people is, okay, let's get the big picture here. And I have kind of a 4-step framework that I help people go through so that they can live this life of working from their center, not working from everybody's outside expectations or everybody's outside agendas, or even, what we see on social media or in the media in general. Or, we read a book and it's, hey, this is how to be a really successful entrepreneur. We take that stuff in and we want to make ourselves match that image or that vision. And sometimes it's a fit and it's great. And sometimes it's not. And, for example, I'm a working mom and I have 2 little kids, and I've had 2 little kids since I started my business. So, some of the advice to get up at 4 a.m. and meditate and then have your bulletproof coffee and then go for a run. And then, then you can get started and do your powerful work from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. Or, it's like all of these pieces of advice just never fit for me. And I really had to find my own solutions. And I was never able to do that until I became really clear about who I was. So that's, one of the things that for many years in my business, I tried to find like, hey, here's the quick hack. Here's the simple trick. Here's the quick tip that you can apply to make it all better. And I think that is leading us down the wrong road. I think that we need to actually take a step back and go, nope, you know what? There's some work to be done here. And it's time for me, for the people who are serious about really defeating burnout in their lives, I think that's what's needed is saying, okay, I'm ready to take a step back. I'm ready to do the hard work. I'm ready to get messy. I'm ready to, make my way through the stuff that is hard, because it's not easy. And I think that we are kind of sold a bill of goods when we're told, no, this stuff's really easy. It's real easy to not be burned out in this day and age. It's real easy to have a life that you love. No, it's not. You really have to fight for it. You have to be committed to it. And I want to kind of guide people through that process.
I love how you take a very practical approach to a difficult and complex problem, and you don't oversimplify it. And it taps, I think you've hit on so many good points. One of them being that we tend to take our cues from social media. We are social animals, as they say. And so we tend to try and behave and mimic the behavior of what we see, for example, on social media. But we have to understand most of that is fake. It's not real. And in any event, it's the best of what someone allows you to see. You don't see the whole picture. You don't see all of reality. And trying to duplicate that can often lead to disappointment and depression, because no matter what you do, you can't seem to measure up to this concept of an online influencer. You know, they've got the perfect body, the perfect clothes, the perfect hair, the perfect car, whatever. So you're setting yourself up to fail. I think the other interesting thing that you mentioned, when I try to narrow things down to a big problem, it's a combination of things. It's not just one problem that usually causes an airplane to crash. It's a combination. It's a systemic failure across multiple systems, pilot error, and a lot of things that add up to a catastrophe, not a single problem. And then the other takeaway from what you just said, a lot of people complain about, I have no time, or I have no energy, or I have no money. But all of these things we may present with as being the problem, they're really just symptoms of a deeper problem. And what you're saying is that we have to go deeper. So lack of money, lack of time, lack of energy, all of this speaks to something else going on. And it's like a fever. If someone goes to the doctor and they ask, the doctor asks what's wrong, and they say, well, I have a fever. Well, that's a symptom of a different problem going on deeper. And you can treat the fever, but you've still got to treat that underlying infection or whatever is causing that problem before it will resolve itself. But by addressing that underlying problem, in this case, the things that are going on in our life that contribute to not having enough time, or the feeling that we don't have enough energy or don't have enough money, or whatever it is, you do a really good job of digging down deeper below the surface to figure out what's really going on here. And so I think that's encouraging to our listeners. If you are experiencing these symptoms, let's dig deeper and let's figure out how we can begin to take some steps in the right direction. You mentioned 4 steps. Would you be willing to share those 4 steps with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big things that I've discovered in not only being a working mom myself, but also working with working parents in all areas, is that we need something that's manageable and that's sustainable, and something that's not going to take, 5 years to get through. It has to be something that you can implement quickly and easily, and, within all of the other constraints that are going on in people's lives, because that's the reality, is we are busy. We do have a lot of demands coming at us all the time. So I needed to come up with something to help people that they could actually implement without, having to stop their lives for, a few months or whatever. So this 4-step process is a way for people to really learn about themselves, to discover who they are, and they can rely on those gurus. They can read those articles and those podcasts, but you don't do it off the bat. First, I think the first step is, number one, making sure that you understand the problem. Like you were just talking about, often what we think the problem is just the surface level symptom of a lot of things that are going on under the surface. And there's no book that you're going to be able to find out there that can describe to you your unique, complexity of a problem going on right now. Often it's many different things, and you can start really anywhere to start to fix that problem. But part of the whole self lifestyle is kind of looking at this as a lifestyle. This isn't something you're going to cure overnight. It's not one, solution to one problem, and then you're off to the races for the rest of your life, and you're going to be happy, and everything's going to be wonderful. So the first step is really doing a system inventory, and I call it that because, like you were saying, this is an ecosystem. If you make changes in one area of of your life, it's going to impact all of the other areas of your life. If you start improving one area of your life, it's going to permeate throughout all of the other areas as well. These things aren't distinctive. You can't fix your marriage and expect nothing else to get better. Everything's going to get better. Your mood's going to improve. Your energy is going to improve. A lot of different things are going to be helped. So my goal is to help people understand the lay of the land for their lives, their unique, customized, personal lives. And that's a different map for everybody. So this first step is the system inventory. And it's a 4-step system, and we use the acronym SELF in order to kind of remember what the 4 steps are. So that gives people an understanding of both what's going on internally with them as well as externally. What are the organizational and logistical things that are coming at them externally, but also what's going on internally. Where do I get my energy? What are my values? How, who am I now that I'm a parent? If you've been an ambitious professional and then you now have kids, that's going to change a lot of things about who you are and what's important to you. So really understanding that and then kind of reconciling it over time, that's a process. So I walk people through step one is that system inventory. Just get kind of like observe what's going on in your life in this moment and just kind of get it down on paper so you can see it from a bird's eye view. The second step is E for evaluate. And once you have all that information down on paper, it's a lot easier to start making decisions about what's working and what's not. And you can say, I took on this volunteer project 5 years ago and now my life's a lot different. Maybe it's time for me to put that on the back burner for now. And I can focus instead my energy over here on this business that I'm building or whatever. Everybody's world is going to look a little bit different. But that evaluate stage allows you to kind of start getting a sense of like, where can I, put the lever up a little bit and where can I put some levers down? What can I put on the back burner? What can I get rid of completely? What could I be doing more efficiently? And this is kind of where my experience in the corporate sector as a project manager comes in. Like, how can we be more efficient? Where can you maybe combine some of the errands that you have to run so it's not spread out over 5 days all week? There's a lot of different things that a lot of people can do who are really struggling with time and energy or burnout or overwhelm that can really make things a lot easier on themselves. And they don't even necessarily have to stop doing things that are important to them in their life. So that evaluate stage is really about analyzing what's going on in your life right now. And then from there, we go to the third step, which is L, list of solutions. And for list of solutions, that's where you can start to do more research. You can talk to a therapist. You can listen to podcasts. That's where you get to kind of dive into all of the information we have out there as both entrepreneurs and as parents. There's plenty of advice, but I think, kind of drinking from the fire hose the way that we often do when we're just consuming information isn't always helpful. But if you've done those first two steps, you know where to target your efforts. What am I trying to solve here? Am I trying to, find a practical and effective way to discipline my kid when I'm not around them all week? Maybe that's the solution that we need to find, or maybe it's that I have too much going on in my business and I need to outsource something. It could really be so many different things. And if you have a real understanding of what's going on in your life from all angles, you can make some really conscious decisions about what solutions you need to come up with. And that third step is really all about coming up with action steps that are going to lead you towards a life that you'd rather be living, the kind of life that you'd rather have. So L is list of solutions. You kind of come up with, these are the things that I could be doing. These are all the action steps that I could be doing. Even then, you still haven't made concrete decisions about what you are going to be doing. You're just kind of brainstorming that list of solutions. Mm-hmm. The fourth step is familiarize. That is where the rubber really meets the road. This is also a step that most people skip because they just want to take in information. And at that point, it just becomes an entertainment.
That's right.
If you're not going to apply it in your life, if you're not going to implement it and figure out how it really works for you in this moment of your life, a lot of that advice that I was talking about earlier, where you get up in the morning at 4 and you meditate and you go for a run and all of that stuff is great advice. There's not even anything wrong with it. But sometimes it just doesn't fit for who we are in this moment and what's important to us right now. And so it really understanding for ourselves, like, okay, I tried that. I tried getting up at 4 a.m. Turns out that's not going to work for me right now. So I need a different solution, and you can go back to your list of solutions that you brainstormed and try something different. So that gives you the opportunity to get real data about what all of this advice out there is really doing for you, whether it's helping you or not helping you. And if it's not helping you, get rid of it. Let it go. It's okay. And because you've kind of gone through all of those other steps, I think that we get to eliminate a lot of that self-judgment that we can feel, that guilt, that comparisonitis, and that we can sometimes feel when we're, looking at what everyone else is doing. We're starting to shine the light on ourselves and get a real understanding about who we are, what works for us, why it works for us, why it doesn't work for us, what we want more of, what we want less of, what is the impact of trying this particular thing. And unless we do all 4 of those steps, you're not going to have the kind of life that you want. If all you're doing is taking in information and you're never implementing it, or you're never taking in information with a real understanding about why you're taking in that information, you're just kind of like, getting bombarded with what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. That's not helpful. So going through each of these 4 steps really gives you an understanding of who you are as an individual and what you want and what you need and what works for you really in practice in this part of your life. Yeah. And so that's what I kind of walk people through. It's a map. It's kind of a framework so that they can go out and get other, they can go get other solutions for themselves and try different things. It's not me saying, hey, this is the thing that's going to work for everybody. Everybody should be doing this. It's more of a framework that people can apply to their own lives and get really customized answers for themselves. And they can repeat that process as much as they want. They can go as deep as they want. They can do it in one area of their life or all of them. They really get to customize the way that they do it as well. And for me, it's really, this is how I have been, kind of doing this successfully in my life as a working mom myself. And you just kind of keep going through the process over and over and over as things change.
I really love that. And the 4 steps, it really demystifies this whole process. And if anyone is stressed out because they are struggling with feelings of overwhelm, here is the solution to that overwhelm, because you are not just going on Google and trying to research the whole universe. First, you're doing a system inventory of yourself, figuring out exactly where you are, what's going on, evaluating what's working, what's not working, and then based on those very 2 fundamental and important questions, then you can go out and begin to gather the data, collect information, go through and create your list of solutions. What is going to be relevant and focused for this particular problem that I'm experiencing or this particular result that I want to create in my life, and then familiarize yourself with these different solutions, try them out and see what works for you. But that last step is so important. Implementation, putting it into practice. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. Otherwise, you're just entertaining yourself. You're never going to make any progress, and you're never going to put any of that research to work. So these are really, really super incredibly important steps, Sarah, that you have come up with. You offer some other products, services, things as well. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, the whole self lifestyle is my everything. It is the mission of the Argenal Institute, and I just adapt it depending on who I'm talking to, who I'm working with. So whether I'm working with an individual or a couple, we do that one-on-one, and we can go really deep and we can get really customized, and they get my kind of feedback and my help with brainstorming and, kind of bouncing ideas around. We get to do all of that together one-on-one. I also do a lot of speaking and a lot of facilitating with parenting groups, with industry associations, with companies in terms of well-being trainings and things like that. So I just kind of take this work and I adapt it for the group in that way. I'm also writing a book right now on the whole self lifestyle, because I think this is something that, it is a philosophy. It's an approach to being a working parent. This is a way to actually enjoy your life as a working parent. You do not have to be miserable. You don't have to be burned out. You can enjoy it. And so that phrase is kind of, for me, my North Star. But then the process, that 4-step process, is how I implement it day to day. And so I really want to take that message and spread it out around the world. And then I have my podcast, the Working Parent Resource Podcast. And we talk about kind of all aspects of the whole self lifestyle. And we really go deep in terms of, what does this mean? What are all of the different areas that we can pull in, whether it's minimalism, or whether it's simplicity, or whether it's parenting, or relationships and marriage, or self-care and self-development. Like, there's so much that we can draw from out there in the world. And so how does that relate to being a working parent? How can this information out there support us in living a whole self lifestyle? So I've got a lot of different things going on, but it really all comes back to living this whole self lifestyle and putting that into practice for the people that I work with.
I love that. So you've got lots of resources. This has been an incredible interview and resource that people can really get the gist and the overview of what you're talking about, and they can actually implement it and begin to see some results. Then if they want to go deeper, they need more help. They need more personalized solutions, because the problem with self-help, as you know, Sarah, is you have to help yourself. And some people aren't able to do that. So how would they reach out to you? How can they find out and learn more about you and your great work?
Absolutely. I'm at argenalinstitute.com. That is kind of my hub of everything, my headquarters. That website, I have a resource for people that they can download right now so that they can go through these steps. It's called System Inventory. They can download it. It's free, and it kind of gives people a taste. It's not the whole thing, but it'll give them it's like a starter guide to living the whole self lifestyle so that people can check it out and just start to get some of that relief right now and get an idea of how to start implementing this in their life. But you're right. I mean, they can listen to this episode right here and start doing all 4 of these steps when they can, how they can, put as much energy into it as they can. This is not hard stuff. It's not even something that you wouldn't find if you went and talked to a therapist or a coach or something like that out there. But I feel like it needs to be customized for working parents. And so that's what I do on my site. It's all kind of right there, and it takes into account all of the complexities that can be going on in that phase of life for people.
Wonderful. And tell us again that website, how our listeners can connect with that.
Yeah, it's argenalinstitute.com. ARGENAL Institute.com.
Perfect. Well, this has really been incredible and powerful. I think that it will definitely help working parents to defeat burnout and to learn how to create the life, the business, the career that they want without sacrificing what's most important to them. And so this has really been incredible. Sarah, any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to leave our listeners with?
I just think that the hustle and grind culture that we have all become immersed in is flawed. I don't think that it is required. I don't think that it's something that is necessary for working parents. I think there's a way through that, and there's a way to really enjoy your life as a working parent. It can be an adventure. It can be fun. It can teach you a lot of new things about yourself and help you to become the best version of yourself. And there's no one right way to be a working parent. There's no one quick fix. There's no one blanket solution that's going to work for everybody. There's only your way. And so I really think that if people can kind of embody that, take that in, and start to live their life kind of from their center, from within themselves, versus letting everything around them and everything out there guide what they're doing, I think that we're going to get a lot closer to defeating this epidemic of burnout that we've all been living in for too long.
I love that. And very, very well put. And what you see when someone is advocating a hustle and grind ethic or lifestyle or whatever they are advocating, very often what they're doing is they are promoting what has worked for them because that's who they are. That's their unique personality. You might even find, if you dug under the surface, it's not even working all that great for them. A lot of the hustle and grind gurus aren't balancing the needs of family and relationships. And in my mind, that is failure. It's not success if we can't build the business we need and live the life that we want. And that life includes our relationships that are most important to us. So this has really been a pleasure speaking with you. Sarah Argenal is a speaker, writer, and facilitator who is on a mission to eradicate the burnout epidemic that is crushing working parents. She is the founder of the Argenal Institute, host of the popular Working Parent Resource podcast, and creator of the Whole Self Lifestyle. You can find out more at argenalinstitute.com, and we'll have that link posted up on the Rebelpreneur website as well. Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Ralph, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.